resetting like scars or something. I don't know. I think there's a thing that's called like scaffolding for like skin transplant or something like that.
I mean, you don't have to try to save my metaphor. It was a train wreck to start with.
Okay, well, actually,
It's like about the bear pooping in the woods. I meant the Pope.
Bears do pope in the wood. Pope.
Was a bear poping in the woods? Crack is whack.
Quack, 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 quack. I'm the penguin.
Give him the French flipper.
French flipper.
That's it. Okay. I shouldn't ask. Yeah. Dan DeVito playing the penguin.
If you can imagine him playing the penguin.
I can totally imagine him.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's a tour de force.
Yeah. Which Batman is that? Is that
Returns,
Keaton?
the second one. Because he did two.
Oh.
He did two Batmans.
They got to do two Batman?
You have done two Batmans.
Two Batmans. Not Batman, but Bat.
No, Batman is Beetlejuice.
Oh no, I gotta push the button.
Batman.
Oh. Perfect.
Oh no.
Behind the scenes. Look at I didn't even move.
Wow.
I'm gonna just cut myself
It's like
out.
a
Just
big
like,
red Pac-Man.
Pac-Man.
Is that the noise that Pac-Man does? I don't know. What is the noise?
I mean, it's too like more like
Yeah.
that's Fozzie Bear.
That is also
Waka.
Fozzie, but waka waka. I'm telling jokes. Oh, geez, Fozzie, you're really not that good at it. That's Miss Piggy.
That's Yoda.
Yeah. They're very similar.
You know, Frank Oz. Yeah, he did both the voice for both of them.
You're right. Oh my God.
Can you say that again?
No.
It's one to know.
I'll say it again, but you'll never get it on record.
I just did. Mm-hmm. God, I can't do this for it. Sorry, I'm having technical.
Cue the circus music.
Afro circus, polka dot, afro.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's Madagascar.
Oh, okay. I was like,
third movie.
How racist are we being right now?
No,
It's like
none.
none
Well,
racist.
he is French,
Okay.
so I don't know.
Who's
Can you be
French?
racist against the French?
Can I?
The seal. Isn't he
Is he
French?
French is
Circus
not a race.
Americana.
It's just
He's
an
Italian.
accent.
Oh
You're. I missed what you said. I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
no, I'm sorry. I was Miss
The seal, nationalizing a seal.
How dare I?
You were gonna teach us trapeze americana.
Sorry, Martin.
One short.
Short.
Yeah. It's actually the third one I do kind of like. Remember we were talking about like movies that aren't great, but there's still good things, you can take out of it?
Yeah.
Madagascar 3.
And it's funny we're talking about, this was, last week, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But we were talking about the worst time to really gauge a film is like 10 minutes later. And the theory was like, you'll feel bad about it, but then later you're like, oh, it's okay. And I'm the reverse.
Sure.
I'm like, within the first 10 minutes, I'm just like, oh, that was enjoyable.
Yeah.
And then later I'm like, why did I watch that?
This was stupid. And because you start thinking about like, that didn't make sense. Oh, that didn't make sense. Oh man. Like,
Yeah. I'm just like, well, I was just immersed in it because I'm not one of those people who tries to figure out what's being spoon fed me. It's like, I'll just wait for the spoon.
But the spoon is made out of a cracker.
But then later I'm like, why did I watch that?
Yeah, I do. It's almost like now because I do like the idea of trying to take it at face value because I feel like I'll enjoy things a lot more I'll enjoy a lot more things more. But sometimes our brains just want to solve things.
Yeah.
And at least do that for my own benefit. That's at least what I'm taking away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this this new concept of second screen watching with movies and television now? It's maybe it's what you thought. I heard someone else talk about it, but it's where like you had to make a show or a movie so generic or have them explain everything they're doing because a lot of times people are watching or looking at their phones while they're watching TV. So they can still get the entirety of the,
God.
yeah, it's ridiculous and scares me a lot that this is where we're heading,
I don't know. I kind of feel like the video should just troll like every so often, just completely deviate.
Sure. Yeah.
See if they notice.
And they probably know. I was like, when did he get that or whatever? Yeah.
I got so annoyed by friends. asking me like, oh, what happened? And because they were like knitting or something.
Oh, sure.
Or like while the show is going on, or they look away like, oh, look at my kitty or whatever. And it's like you missed all the visual cues. It's like, well, but I was listening. I'm like, yeah, it's too bad this isn't radio.
Yeah. And if you're gonna look away and if you're gonna be distracted, don't ask questions. Just know that you're gonna miss it, and that's okay.
Right.
That was your choice.
If you have to ask a question, make it the question, why do I fail?
So we can get back up again. That's my best Michael Caine impression.
Michael Caine, I failed you.
Why do we fold, Master Bruce?
That's pretty good, actually.
Thank you.
But welcome to Bards and Balladeers minus Batman. We are a podcast all about story in all its forms. We talk about movies a lot, but we like to talk about writing and music and art and all those things that portray story in some form. Let's see. Let me read from a script. Introductions. I am Oscar. Nope. You're Oscar. Who am I?
We are all Oscar.
We all Oscar. We are three of Oscar.
Yeah. Because Oscar means free.
Does it really?
Yeah, it does.
Oh. It's a lie.
Oscar.
Oscar. We have Oscar, Kate, and Rio, myself. We are Bards and Balladeers, and we are all authors for one thing, but we like to dabble in other avenues of art. So authors is just what it kind of brought us together. So that was kind of, the nice thing that can kind of bring us together. But you can find us here on YouTube. We are on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. And we have a Discord too. So it's a nice way to keep in contact with us after the fact, or just to pick our brains, or just ask us any questions. We'll talk to you there. And we like to share a lot of memes and dumb stuff. So it's fun. But if you want any of that information, it's in the link below. Subscribe to us. It helps us out, helps with the algorithm and all that good jazz the internet likes to follow. But yeah, so today we are talking about the process. Got to trust the process. And how we come about doing our stories, and how we really just craft what we're doing. But one real quick thing, forgive me before I do this. I am wearing a shirt today. See it. It is from the Anime Summit podcast, one of our dear friends. We'll put their link on there too, just so if you want to check them out, if you want to know more about anime and have three fun people just kind of rambling and talking like we are, it's a fun time. And they've been doing it for a while now. They got like 400 episodes. It's crazy. Yeah. So
nice.
But the process. So it's a weird thing, because I feel like a lot of the process comes from this transition in life. Like right now it's fall and leaves are changing, and something about just when you see things change, or there's a change in your life, it sometimes instigates you to do more, to do other things. And I just like seeing things, because whenever like I'm out walking or whatever, seeing something different can sometimes spark change or just like thought processes. And it's good to get out of your own mind and get rid of that stagnation that sometimes you get into. So being able to just have a new perspective is a really good place to start with anything. Cause like, think of it like, you know what, I should work out more, or I should write that story I've been thinking about for whatever, and sometimes you see when things change, it can help you change too. So that's why I like this time of year, especially the fall color. Snow will be here soon enough, in Minnesota. But yeah.
He said the S word. You got to quack that out.
Quack will be here in Minnesota. I don't know. Last 2 years, we've been pretty lucky. I'm just saying. Yeah,
absolutely.
We had a brown Christmas. I haven't seen it in 40 years, Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sort of done with all the snow by December 27th.
I just need it for Christmas. That's it,
Just bring me somewhere brown. I don't care. Wow. That sounded terrible. Didn't
nope.
He
Not keep cutting that out.
Today.
Well, I'm from India, so.
We're cutting that out.
I said that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you did.
No, it just, I don't mind like being in the tropics or whatever. Like Minnesota winter, I've been here, except for the year in Boston, like 49 years.
Oh, dang. If you go to the tropics, you will get brown.
They say that. I think I'll get red.
I think Oscar would get red, yeah.
And then
like
I'll peel, and then I'll be white again.
Even more white than before. It's like the
I'm not
level.
Powder. So I'm seeing that.
That's a good movie, actually. For people who have never seen Powder, it's a good movie.
Yeah, recommend.
Oh.
It's kind of hard to explain. I'd rather not. Like I'll show it to you sometime.
Like The Prestige. I watched it and Rio didn't tell me anything about it. And I think that was probably for the better. David Bowie's in it. That's all I'll say.
Spoilers.
I know.
Yeah.
And so Hugh Jackman, and Christopher, what's his name?
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale.
Speaking of Batman and Michael Caine. I don't know why that's
your go-to voice.
Guys.
Michael Caine.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. But yeah, trust the process. It's a very interesting topic because I feel like you said, as we go through changes in seasons, we see that like life goes through its own process in a way. And I know the three of us, I think we always reference each other. We always reference something about our own processes and then go to the other two and like ask like, and what do you do? Yeah. What do you do? Yeah. But we've never actually talked about it on the podcast, even though we're all writers, and like Rio said, we all dabble in things. But for you guys, I'm going to ask Oscar first.
Yeah, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause like Kate was saying, we always bring up, well, when I do this and blah, blah, but we've never actually fully covered what each of our processes is. And so we kind of wondered, like, what is your whole process? What's mine? Let's compare notes and let's do it in front of people. How about that?
So you get the honors. Yeah.
And I think we've all kind of agreed that we all sort of developed a process. Like we didn't start being authors or creatives with a process already in mind. Like none of us went to school, I think, for creative writing or anything. We just decided at some point I could do that.
Yeah.
And decided, let's start. And I guess I would say, just to dovetail from my gaming background, I would come up with, I'd have a story I wanted to write. And initially that came from gaming. So I already had what the setting was. So I decided on the setting first for the game. And then the story kind of evolved concurrently with the characters. And so when it came time to writing stuff out in novel format, I guess, I started with some of those things already known, but, in other cases, it starts with either an idea or a setting, or sometimes with a trope that I want to undercut.
Sure.
Because I think I've told you guys, I'm not going into a whole lot of detail about this sci-fi idea I have in mind, because I think it's a great idea and I don't want someone else to do it first.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
But
you don't trust us?
I had a trope, the AI dystopia trope I wanted to sort of undercut in a particular way. Yeah. And so that was the initial thing. I wanted to undercut a trope. I'm like, okay, well, what kind of setting does that require? Then that came next. And how do I want that plot to progress? That's kind of the next piece. Characters are coming last for that for me. And even though like plot is my primary thing, I often start with setting. But again, it was the trope I wanted to undercut, and one could argue that's a plot thing. So maybe it follows that progression of like those my top three categories. And then it's then there's how do you want to tell the story? And I generally do, third person perspectival or something like that.
Do you find, a good question, because I'm curious about this now. Do you find that if you have the setting and the world in place, not so much the world building, but like the setting, that it's easy to populate it? Because like, not that the characters are generic, but you could almost do anything with a good setting. Or like, what's the thought process beyond that?
Yeah, I guess it depending on the setting. Like, if I started with Shadow World stuff, and so then I'm consulting a book that exists, like a property that exists, on what populations might be there. And if there's empty space, I am figuring out my own stuff for that. But I do find it somewhat easy to extrapolate from what I already know. Same with historical fiction. I go with what the history was, and, I embellish a little bit. Yeah. I've got people speaking Quechua in what's modern day Colombia, and that really only happened in the southern parts of it in terms of like the actual Incan Empire. So you spin forward 150 years, figure, well, that spread a little bit. There's not one language called Quechua. It's actually a conglomeration of several. And I just call it all Quechua because I'm a racist.
But it's your world, it's your story. You can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah. Well, that depends who you ask.
Yeah.
Did you get a sensitivity reader?
And you also, I think, have significantly less wiggle room in your genre also too.
Yeah. I mean, right. I could use, I have enough wiggle room to do some things,
sure.
But the character didn't have to be this particular person. I was just like, there wasn't enough reason for me to change it from the game. But, so I guess, there's sort of a fluid way that I come up with, like character, plot, and world. It depends, like it's a shifting order. But after that, it's research, outline. It's the broad outline for the story, the really bare bones. And then I start outlining by chapter.
Sure. So you do have an outline. So was that a plotter? Yeah. Is that considered?
Yeah, I'd say,
I think so.
Plotter, planner. But yeah, the plot is mostly what I outline, and character growth kind of happens. Like most of my character stuff is written on the fly based on like what perspective, like what character's perspective I'm inhabiting that scene, and I need to have their growth, but I don't know beforehand like what I'm going to write for them, which is
probably good. I mean, you have a direction they need to go, but that's more organic than that way. When you say like,
I think so. It leaves room for happy accidents.
Happy accidents.
I'm always grateful to Gore Verbinski for that quote.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that leaves a lot of room. That's the meat on the scaffolding, which is to mix metaphors, because you put that on a skeleton, not a scaffold, or that would be grotesque.
I mean, depends on what you're building.
I guess. It's a meat skyscraper. All right.
It fell over again.
Yeah, it's rotting in the sun.
Yeah.
You're about to ask something and now you're frozen.
I really wasn't. I was just imagining all of it. When you said meat on the scaffolding, I was like, oh, that's a new one for me. Oh,
well, I think technically they can make, you joke, but I think they can make scaffolding for like grafts, or like when they're like resetting like scars or something. I don't know. I think there's a thing that's called like scaffolding for like skin transplant or something like that.
I mean, you don't have to try to save my metaphor. It was a train wreck to start with.
Okay, well, actually,
it's like about the bear pooping in the woods. I meant the Pope.
Bears do poop in the wood. Poop.
Was a bear poping in the woods?
But I kind of like
there's some erotica somewhere out there, you know.
My date with the Pope. No. Dang it. Gosh,
lost in the woods with the Pope.
The story of child abuse.
With your method though, Oscar, I think it's almost it's definitely like very close or like adjacent to the role-playing game, like building of how you create a world from that. And you pepper in things almost, it seems like, if I'm hearing it right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll pepper in, of course, anytime I need a secondary character, like I'll just invent them.
Sure.
And then, okay, well, what do I have to know about them to carry this on so that I can go about ignoring them? If I am
done with you.
Yeah, it's sort of like, okay, I got to know these basic things, and beyond that, I don't have to think about. I just need to know what traps I might get into, plan my way out of those, so I don't actually write my way into them in the first place, and then I never have to deal with that character again.
Yeah, fair enough.
If it's that kind of character.
You're like most TV writers, you just kill them if you don't need them anymore.
No, it's more like, there's the innkeeper. We're never coming back to this inn. But they need a name.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
They need a name, yeah.
They need a name.
Like Edgar Allan Poe.
And I do sometimes get out of naming a character.
Oh,
if it's short term enough, the corporal, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you don't have to know what corporal that is. We don't care.
Right.
Etc.
He cares.
I'm with you, because if they have a title, you can use the title, forget the character,
Yeah. Yeah. It's especially people have enough names to memorize, and anyone who's read both of my books will be nodding fervently right now when I say that. People have enough names to memorize, and a lot of them are names that are not in they're not in the native language of the reader. I don't care if my books ever end up in Spanish or something, the English names will be difficult, the Dutch, the French, whatever.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of multicultural names in there. And that's not even counting like names like Ajuban or Ispaka or whatever.
Those are great names.
Yeah.
What's funny is I am currently getting my audiobook for The Mother done and everything. I've read all the narration and I did some of the character parts, but I wanted, since there's so many female characters, I wanted actually female actors to do a lot of voices. So I've got a few, and they're giving me all the audio. But I was very surprised at how one girl got all the names except for like 2 or 3, like without me even saying anything. I was like, either I did a good job in writing the names or they just like knew kind of what kind of names I was trying to get, whatever. So I find that fascinating that when people read your book and then they had to like interpret like what the name is and then listening to everyone's variation, because they have Salil, but she said Salael. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. Actually, it was like, it's too late now.
Pretty,
like, yeah. I was like, nope, she's Salil. So
yeah. And I get to actually look up how to pronounce stuff, which is funny when I wrote the name and then 3 years later, I'm doing a reading. I'm like, oh, I've been thinking that name wrong this whole time.
Huh.
It's all in your head sometimes. And then you go to say it out loud and you're like, oh, shoot.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's on me. I could research that. At the moment I come up with the name, I could go on YouTube or I just Google, how do I pronounce this name?
Yeah.
And hear it and just not have to worry about it. But no, I like to create my own work. But yeah, I sort of do and as you go outline, chapter by chapter, because stuff changes from chapter to chapter. I don't outline the whole thing ahead of time.
Sure. Yeah.
Not in that level of detail. Figure out characters of significance. I do follow the flow of secondary characters to the point where I need to, and sometimes it's hard to stop.
Sure.
That's part of that happy accidents thing. If you don't over outline secondary characters, it's kind of fun to just follow them if you like them.
Yeah.
And I have, perspective characters are sometimes secondary characters, and you get more attached to them.
Yeah.
You get more attached to a character when you inhabit their perspective, even if they're a villain.
Yes.
Sure,
oh my God. Yeah.
Especially when they're villain. They're fun.
They're the most fun. Yeah. I don't know if I like them both equally. Really. Sure. Because it's interesting to me to try to come up with the personalities of people that are not really like me. Because of course I'm not a villain. No, you've got to be able to connect to all of them.
Yeah.
If you're inhabiting their perspective, you have to find a way to connect with each character.
Right.
Or else you can't believably write them.
Agreed.
That's fair. Yeah.
And so, at that point, it's just, figuring out the pacing, twists, and above all for me, like the logic. Does this make sense? What would make sense to do from here? What would make sense for this character to do? It might not be one thing. It might be 4 things, but you still have to pick what they do or what they think or what they feel.
Right. I'm with you on the logic thing. Like, I think that's such a big thing. And like, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you just make your character do what they're going to do because it's fun or it's like exciting and what have you. But I try my darndest to make everything make sense with trying to be extraordinary. I mean, if you got magic, and stuff like that, you can do a lot of stuff with that. But it's just like, if you're just letting them do anything just to fit the plot, it just like, then some of the stuff doesn't matter. I feel like it's like, well, they're just going to get out of it because they're going to use some magic. No, I specifically made my magic system to have limitations, like, because I didn't want to be like, oh, he summons fireball, or it's like, oh no, he doesn't have enough power. He can't summon fireball anymore. It's like, it was almost like an energy source, like,
right.
Batteries, as I like to say, but
I read your first book, of course. And it does seem like it's an interesting, sort of meeting. Like, it's an interesting sort of crossroads between, this is almost like a sacred energy. Yeah. And it's also completely discardable.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it's like, it's so common, but we also still venerate it, which is an interesting, like, that's not unbelievable. Right. It's sort of like,
but we do it now in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a natural constant in a way.
Yeah. Like something that's just always in your life, but that you still, consciously value a lot.
Right.
And that you can treat it like it's disposable, but you're grateful it's there.
Right. Yeah.
And that doesn't happen a lot. It doesn't happen all the time. And so when you run into it, it's kind of, it can like make you think a little bit.
I appreciate that. I really do. Yeah. It's a good analysis. Yeah.
That's how it struck me,
Yeah.
And so I guess with that said, Rio, like for you, did you come up with the magic system first, or did you come up with like character first, like for Never Told? Or just in general, you can talk in general.
I'm trying to think like what did the chicken or the egg?
And if it came up first, did maybe setting came up first and magic as part of that, or I don't know, or separately, I don't know.
So I know I've talked about a bit, in other podcasts that I was heavily influenced by Final Fantasy. It's a video game, and their magic system. They had these 4 like what they consider mother crystals, which were like the essence of certain elements and everything. And I always liked that. And I thought it was kind of cool, but it was just kind of like, again, just a thing in the world that just kind of, I don't know, just was there as an element to the story or to like just a greater world in general. And yeah, they had a bigger part because like if one got destroyed and it could cause chaos in the world and all that stuff and everything. But I didn't want to make it so grandiose and restricted just to one thing, you know? And like they have their magic casters that just kind of, again, cast the magic. If they had the mana, they can cast the magic and it costs 300 magic points or whatever, you know? What did you say?
Oh, it's just because like I'm imagining you calling it like magic point. Like it cost me 300 magic points in your story. Oh, sure. It's like that would be hilarious.
Oh yeah. This one crystal can handle like 40 magic points. And then you can only cast one fireball or whatever, you know,
reminds me of a meme about hit points,
but so I did take, you know, homage from that and I didn't enjoy that, but I wanted to make it so it's just like, again, like it was a resource, like it was a capacity. It was something that wasn't just magic for magic's sake, you know, and there's a lot more that I am going to put into the stories and without being too spoilery, you know, there is a reason for it in there. There is like a greater power at work with those energies and they're not just there because they're there, you know, and again, there's going to be, at least the plan is, right? So, but yeah, I definitely knew that I took from there, but the characters definitely was just thinking, how can I then now use this magic or like, again, rare male being so rare in a society like that Amazonian type idea with, like, what would you do if you were the only male, but you weren't just like a captured male, like for the Amazonians to repopulate. Like if you were like that one person is trying to live a normal life. And then like, how do you live a normal life when you're different, special, and you're just trying to find out why, you know? And, so yeah, it was, I would say they both kind of went in simultaneously. Like they were there together and they grew up together. Like, you know,
well, it's funny because, you know, the character, like the way you just described the character part of that.
Yeah.
Kind of is an analog of the magic where, they're like unique and special and cherished, but also discardable.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
So just like the power
and
crystals.
I'm very smart.
And the other analog for like the power source of like something that's appreciated and you know conserved and utilized, but also is discardable.
Yeah.
The closest real analog I can think of is gunpowder.
Oh.
Because like at least in the era I write in, where there's a process to create it, and you want to be careful with it, but also it's discardable.
Right.
It's it's common enough, but also dangerous enough and vital enough.
Right.
Like, or even just anything around fire, but but specifically gunpowder has that same kind of feel to it.
And so I have we have our first author writing in Never Told that it's not us, and they're writing about like that kind of male perspective and what happens when they kind of go rogue and what they're capable of. So it's again finding the like when you don't respect that energy, what happens? Like, you know, what is going to be the like retribution or the bad thing that will happen if you just kind of take it for granted, kind of like, you know. So that's gonna be fun, and I'm really excited for Wendy Herman. We are very appreciative of you. So that's yeah, it's gonna be cool. Cool. Yeah. How about you? Like, because I know.
Oh, sure. You know, my process is not the most efficient process. I'll admit that. I do recall, at least for my series that I'm working on right now, Conquering Chronicles, at what stages I started implementing certain things. And I know I started with character. I do know that. I started with, I had my main two characters. Back when, I hate saying it, back when I was a teenager, the plot lines that I initially wrote for them were definitely, to use the word I hate, but cringy. But I knew that I was creating them with certain conflicts happening to them. And over time, I just sort of explored those emotions brought on by those conflicts and explored different versions of those characters. And then as I explored the different versions of them, I had to write the world that was happening around them. So I started with character. I then started building the overarching world in which they existed. And then as I created the world, I had to create, which I guess now that I'm saying it, I guess I have done a crap ton of world building. Just not like written down in a archivable like way. But so characters and then the overarching world. And then within the world, so a timeline, probably a span of maybe like 100, 200 years or so. And then just filled in that entire timeline of like, this is what happened in year one, and all through, whatever happens over the course of the next few, I don't want to say 200 years, it might be less than that.
I'm curious in that timeline, do you set down like, here's what happened just in terms of these people, those people, or do you have individual people who also shape things mixed in with that?
Yes. So as I started creating these events would just come to me of like, oh, this thing happened here. It had to happen here because this had to happen in this other time. I wish I could give you more specifics. I can't without giving spoilers or getting too in the nitty gritty of it because I will hyper focus because I love it so much. But those moments, then I said, okay, well, if this moment is happening, who's doing it? Why are these characters doing it? Are they good? Are they doing it for evil? Are they part of some bigger group that's actually, trying to sow chaos? So are they just responding to it?
So first you assign the events and then you assign the agency of those events.
Correct. And then I would go back to my two main characters. And I remember at a particular point in my early 20s, I was like, well, then what the heck are they doing here? What is their purpose? Like, why are these two the like focal, like, why are they the two people that everything else hinges on? And it was once I realized that it's these two coming together that will actually be what solves the main like issue, is when I really felt like I had that true ending in mind. But unfortunate yet fortunate, it's a very long drawn out series, which gives me a lot of content to work with. However, it's taken about 15 years to get through it.
That's a blessing and a curse.
Exactly.
Because I've got enough content for at least a dozen Shadow World novels.
Oh,
and I'm not going to, there's no way that's ever going to get done unless, I become a full-time writer like tomorrow.
Exactly. And
even then.
Right. And it breaks my heart to know that I have this much, because then it's such a big, meaty piece of steak that I can't eat on my own. And maybe that's the worst analogy to use.
No, I get it.
No, scaffolding. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, like now that we're talking about it, like I feel so fulfilled by having this world created, and yet also terrified because if something happened to me tomorrow, none of it's, all of it's written down somewhere in a place that Rio could access. It's not legible to somebody else's mind, I'm sure. No, like it won't make sense. It's legible. Sorry, that's not the right word.
That's why we have AI.
Sure. Oh, no.
We're going to put your brain in a vat and then just kind of like hook you up to a keyboard so you can just leave right for the rest of eternity.
Oh, goodness. But I will say because going back now, I didn't have my magic system figured out originally when I created the two characters, or even when I started creating the overarching like story. Like the magic system sort of slowly came to me over time. It was a mix of my growing love for yoga and that sort of mind, body, spiritual connection. And also my love for like classic like action films or like martial arts films. Mm-hmm. And so it was the mix of that over time I slowly saw, oh, this is what the magic system is. It's this almost like power of will / hope / like spiritual connection to the universe around them. That sort of
like yogic powers.
Yes, basically. And it was like Rio was saying, I wanted a limitation to it. So it's everybody's access to it, but not everybody can just do it because they think they can. They actually have to work at it.
Right.
Too.
It's funny. Another Ken Wilberism. I had a column called this for a while, Elitism for All.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like an elitism to which all are invited, but you can't just access it. You have to train. You know, like there's stuff you have to do. Everyone is invited to do it.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean everyone will. Most people will not.
Exactly. Right. And which in a way I think is, if you're like going by D&D rules is, what is that? Sorcery technically? Or I always get this wrong.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Cause does sorcery use reagents?
I think that's wizards. I think sorcerers just can do it.
Right.
Ooh, oh, okay. Oh, I think you're right.
I think it is sorcery.
Wizards. Oh.
It's sorcery. I think you're right.
Do you need components for your magic system? Or like I don't know.
No.
Then
not really.
I think it's more sorcery. But
Okay.
I haven't played since 3.5, so
sure.
don't take my word for it, people. Look it up.
But I'm pretty sure it's akin to that. So that's my overall process. Whether or not I'll apply that to new stories, in a way, I think I will. I'll just get much more efficient with it as I do new stories after this main series.
Right. It sounds like this process, because you have one main thing you're working on that's not, Nevold.
Yeah.
That this process is specific to this.
Correct.
This story, and that some of it might not port over to others. Some of it will. The Venn diagram is non-specific at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, like my process is not the same for nonfiction.
Oh no.
I bet.
Well, I was thinking about it as we were going along, because like you said, plotting out and making an outline is very important for like when I'm writing the main storyline, but I'm writing just kind of a few things in a different story for Never Told. But because I have set so much stuff up now, it's not as hard to write this next stuff, because I'm especially if I'm not trying to add anything to it, it just kind of like flows a little bit easier, because I don't have to think about the things that might need to be added or like tuned or anything. And
you got a critical mass of content that just like flows onto the page.
Yeah. And it feels a lot easier, especially if it's just making like, thoughts or whatever on the page. But because when you start doing other books, at least I find when I'm doing subsequential books, is that when you add things, like whether it be monsters or elements or, other characters, you got to be super careful about not like letting those things retcon anything, which is retroactively, I don't know what con stands for. Because retcon means you go back and you just kind of forget or change whatever.
Retroactively contradict, maybe.
Ooh.
Yeah, like it's a.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Or it's retroactive continuity. Like either way, it's a continuity issue.
Right. And so like that's one thing I love adding new monsters. I told myself every book I put in there has to have at least 4 new monsters. Like because I really want to build the world of those monsters and trying to make them unique. And I say Beast, Valkus, but like you can't like add too many, because like where were these people in the other books? Like, especially if I'm adding it to places that have already been established. So I try to like add them to other places where you may not see them or whatever, And I think that's super, you have to be super careful about that, because again, when you start adding too much, then it becomes like, it just becomes, it negates a lot of stuff that you've written. So yeah.
What's really interesting about this to me is that world building is your least favorite thing. And that seems to be the first thing you create.
Yeah.
I know.
World building is your favorite thing. And it's sort of like never like ongoing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it also kind of makes sense in the sense that, okay, what's my least favorite thing to do? I'll get that done first.
Sure. Yeah.
Or what is my favorite thing to do? I don't ever want to stop doing it.
Sure.
So it kind of makes sense. And I'm always doing plot.
Yeah.
And I have to, like the test with my third book in this trilogy is going to be wrapping plots up more than creating new plots. And I think I'm already off to a good start on that. But the main reason is because I'm aware that that's what I need to do. Sure. And I'm not just following this, like, I like doing plots. Let's add a plot here. Then it would just be lost.
Well, you always had the plan. Yeah, nice. You always had the plan of actually like finishing on the third book, right?
Yeah. And it's funny. I generally know an ending before I start.
Okay.
With this trilogy, I knew the ending of the first book, which now you do too. But I didn't know specifically the ending of the trilogy.
Oh.
And I knew that pretty much by the time I was working on book 2.
Yeah.
But I didn't start out the trilogy knowing it. And like, that is part of my process, is like right towards the ending.
Yeah.
And so with the first book, I was just writing towards the ending of book 1. And then I knew certain things that were going to happen in book 2, didn't know where it was going to end quite yet. So I don't know like how you guys deal with that.
Endings are important. Like I was telling Dennis, it's just like, if I don't have an ending in mind, I don't have a target. Like,
same.
Yeah. And it just feels like, especially because if you don't know how it's going to end, again, I can't tell you how many movies and stuff I've seen that like you get to the ending, it's like, that's it. And you feel so unfulfilled. And like, I never want to have that for my books. Like, you know,
and I will say the people that I've met I've met some writers who have this problem where they don't know where they're aiming their story.
Yeah.
It's always a plot issue that they're always like character first people, and they just want to write the character interactions. And you know, there'll be like character plots, but not overall story plots.
Right.
And that's the stuff they have trouble with.
I think one way that I found my way through that, given that character is one of my favorite things, and saying earlier that I write the overarching timeline.
Yeah.
And so analyzing that entire timeline and saying if you know, I wanted to end here, hopefully happily ever after in some way, shape, or form, doesn't mean like romantically or anything, just a happy ending, because that's what I want. Where are the points that actually have a good narrative? Because just because, you know, let's say there's a moment where this isn't what happens, but where there's a big battle, you know, that big battle might not make a good narrative story, like, or its own book. Other things need to lead into that. And I had to ask myself, is the story that I want to tell in this like chunk of time, is that a good story? Like, is that a good beginning, middle, and end? Can I actually take something from that and make it a plot like point, like a book in this series? Like, does it make sense for that moment in time to be a good story?
Just like we were mentioning back a while back about dialogue. Dialogue that doesn't move the story doesn't need to be written.
Yeah.
And it's the same with plot stuff. You know, like there are some things, you know, people always say show, don't tell, but that refers to the story you're trying to tell, not all the context of the story. And if this battle is just context, it doesn't need to be on the page. It just gets referred to.
Right.
But I feel like we're all sort of programmed from other fiction. Battles always need to be, you know, talked about. Like they always need to be inhabited in stories, especially if you come from the gaming world.
Sure.
Gaming is, especially D&D, like no hate, but it's true. It's specifically geared towards combat.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that kind of trains the brain a little bit.
And especially somebody that loves action, that loves that sort of interaction between two opposing forces. Like I do love that, but I had to really, really ask myself, like, is this necessary? And I think it was a good humbling moment to get to that point in my, you know, all of the content that I had created. And to be able to ask myself that, like, it was kind of really cool to get to that point, because, you know, you'd created so much to actually have the luxury to ask myself that, okay, I can actually put that plot point to the side and just summarize it. Yeah. Like you said, doesn't need to be written. It can just be summarized or
it's now in a history book that it's referred to.
Exactly.
I do think like we've talked about many times too, is that like, if it's not earned, it's not going to feel good when you get there. Like, you know, romance, battles, conflicts, any of that stuff.
Even horror.
Horror. Yeah. Like, I know if there's no, or if there is no like, possibility of survival, even if they're not going to survive, if there isn't a feeling of that, like no one's going to care. Like, you know, you gotta give some hope. Like you said,
there have to be real stakes.
Yeah. Real stakes.
Yes.
Yeah. Not like, fake impossible meat.
But just, you know, if you know, like, okay, well, this is all going to end happy. You don't necessarily have to write that either, but that's why you want twists, or that's why you want to not be happy for everybody, or there's a sacrifice or something, you know, that all plays a role there. And
right.
like that's part of the, I mentioned, pacing and twists and logic, and, like I've got all these single words written down, like climax and reunion and growth.
Climax, but my favorite.
Spoken like a guy. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah,
I think anybody wouldn't mind a good climax.
That's pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
But I feel like the twists and like that's where you play with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is that you want to have like, there's like a bunch of logical ways something could play out, but which ones are interesting?
Sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or which ones tie up more loose ends or make you have that like, oh, this is really cool kind of feeling, or, just kind of generate surprise in the reader or in you as one of the reasons to write stuff that's not completely outlined is to surprise yourself. And because if you surprise yourself, you're probably going to surprise the reader.
It's true. Yeah. I to sort of add to that, it's almost like making a, like Rio said too, an earned ending in a way, in some way, shape or form. It could be just a payoff of some kind. And I will actually admit that in the last, I would say 3 years or so, I've done a lot with reading into like structures of story, just because I want my ending to feel fulfilling, not just the overarching one, but each individual story to feel fulfilling in some way. And so recently, Brandon Sanderson, within the last like year, he put out some lectures because he is a wonderful storyteller, even though some of his books do get a little bit long, but that's, they're fulfilling once you get to the end. And so one of his structures that he sticks to is the promise, progress, and payoff. And so it's similar to 3-act structure, but not as rigid. Same with, you can do like one of my personal favorites to do when I'm really writing out plot points, because I'm a plotter, I would say, is like the 7-act structure as well. I won't get into that, but the promise, progress, and payoff really does focus on how are we going to feel at the end? Was the promise given at the beginning fulfilled? It could also be not fulfilled in a way that it would be like a tragedy, right? So you could make a promise of somebody, John Wick redeeming his dog or like saving his dog, but he doesn't save the dog, but that payoff at the end is still just as good. Sorry to use a movie instead of a book, but that was just the first thing I could think of. But those types of structures too are something that I also will use to make sure that what I'm writing and setting up at the beginning does sort of make sense towards that ending, like how we're all saying.
Well, and I would say that, just to interject, that promise that's not fulfilled is also a payoff, in the sense that it's not just a promise like, oh, this is the good thing that might happen. It's sort of like, if this doesn't happen, here's going to be the consequence. And so when it ends with that consequence, you've still fulfilled that promise.
Yes. Yes. And it's a fun way of going about it, I feel like, because everybody will feel differently about an ending too. And like you were saying, Rio, that ambiguous endings sometimes aren't very fulfilling, but
lost.
I will add, I'll add the gray to that, but I freaking love it. To me, like I also created like my own ending in a way. So that's
fanfic.
I guess, they leave it open to interpretation, and I chose to interpret it in a positive way instead of a negative. But yeah, I'm
kind of curious. I know we're going to wrap up here in a bit, but like we talk a lot about like how we make stories and how we do our stories and how we kind of plot things up or where our stuff comes. But when you guys are writing, like, how do you actually, it sounds so stupid, how do you actually write? Because like a lot of times, even when I've had to train myself because when I first started writing my first book, I had to make sure every sentence was perfect. Like it was really bad. Like, and it slowed me down so much. It took me like 3 years for my first book, even though I've been thinking about it for like 10 years before that. But it was just like, I've learned that when I wrote my second book, it's just like, okay, just like write. Whenever I feel like I get stuck on something, I just like write, this happens, or like she gets the coin or whatever, and I try to find another place where I can start writing again, where I don't stop, like, because I get derailed so easily because, ADHD brain or whatever. And I do find myself that I have to like set timers or do things like literally will build a Lego in between like sessions of writing because it just clears my mind. Like, it's rewarding for me. I like Legos. Legos, send me Legos, free Legos.
Mr. World Builder, building his world.
Oh, look at my little people.
Yeah.
Actually, I should totally do that. I have some Avatar, little Lego sets and everything. I should like reconstruct them into like, this is Navold and this is like, these are Minyari. Like, yeah.
I think Oscar will probably have a better answer to that question though, because my process is very similar to yours and I don't love it, but it's also just, we're trying to make it work with our brains.
Sure. Yeah.
Answer to what question?
Oh, he was
the actual question there.
Like how you, when you go to write, how do you actually like write it? What is like the text that you actually write or like, what's your writing sessions look like?
Yeah. So, I leave myself a large amount of time because I have to get into it first.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that requires going back and reading what I wrote last time.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And, like music, headphones, the environment, all of that. And then I just, by reading what I wrote last time, I just sort of get into the characters.
Yeah.
And I write in order. I don't skip stuff. And that's, there are times where I'm like, should I skip something? And I'm like, no, I can't. I get the momentum. Like I need that momentum and I'll power my way through it and maybe I'll come back and like clean it up better. Yeah. Like there are times where I have to do that, but I just feel the need to do it in order and like not kind of flub my way through anything.
I do it in order. I'll give you that. But like I said, I just don't write out everything.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the difference for us is like, I will try to write it out and sometimes fail and come back and clean it up.
All the time.
But I'll still spend the time.
Yeah.
Because I don't get derailed as much, but also just it takes me a while to write anything, but if I'm in the groove, if I'm in that zone, which is what I spend time creating for myself, I can look up, an hour later and I wrote, 2.5 pages in an hour, which, is faster than average for me. But a lot of the time I was just in this zone. Like in my second book, I wrote 10 pages in one day and one day being like, probably 5-6 hours. And part of like an hour and a half of that was probably me getting into the mood. And part of what I wrote was this myth. Like it's like Koya telling this story that she was told as a kid. And it's all in italics, like that sort of text. And I got asked on a podcast once, like, how much of that was like, from the actual mythology. And I was like, well, just the key images, but the rest of it I just made up. And like,
was it
seriously? No, it was not. But it really I was so proud of it when I got it done, but I was just in that zone. Right. And for me, that a lot of gold comes out of that. And so I spend extra time on that. With nonfiction, it's a little different. I get very left brained and, like that process is more like, I figure out my central approach, like the general thesis. I'm addressing a point that I want to see, addressed. And then it's like, a narrative around that particular dynamic. And then like new point examples, conclusion, whatever.
Right. I feel like nonfiction would be a lot easier. Like,
it is. Yeah, it is.
Actually, to be honest, so you graciously helped me on one of my books that was more or less nonfiction because it was just passages of thing. And that to me was a little easier to write because it's like, I have this to say. So I just kind of
exactly.
added that
to making up a lot of content. And that was easy for me to edit to in that sense. And there is a thing I do with editing too. I started doing this on my second book, an editing outline.
Sure.
So you go through scene by scene. Whose perspective was this from? Was there what character growth needed to happen? What was this scene meant to accomplish? Did it accomplish that kind of thing? And it was really useful for my second book because I realized I had not enough character growth for Ajuban.
Oh.
And not enough scenes from his perspective. So I took 2 scenes from secondary characters' perspectives that he was in and rewrote them from his perspective and added in the character growth, and it just worked.
Nice.
Yeah. But that was all just from an editing outline. I was very proud to mention that on a panel, and a seasoned author was like, I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool.
Mm-hmm. No, especially if that's, let me rephrase that. I think that's especially important when you know that Ajuban or whichever character you're trying to focus on is one of your main characters, and you don't want them to take a step back to let these secondary characters, or whatever we want to call them, tertiary, to let them shine, unless it really, I don't know. Like, I think that's just maybe like an author choice too, where you want that character to shine. Yeah. So I'm going to change what I had written before to make it fit that. And it's something that we almost have like agency to do as the writer, and that like these worlds are our own worlds, and that I don't know what I'm trying to say.
We are gods, yes.
We, in a way, but that these are our, it's our clay to mold. Mm-hmm. And it's so fun, and it's so like creative to be able to take a step back, read it, analyze it, and say, you know what, it's just not quite right. Let me fix it. Let me adjust it.
Well, and what's interesting about this discussion to me, and this is part of why I wanted to have this as a topic. And I mean, I feel like we could go on a lot longer about it.
Absolutely.
But
of course, yeah.
What's most interesting about to me is that our approaches to writing are as different as sculptors' approaches to sculpting.
I bet. Yeah.
And I feel like my approach is probably the most traditional. And I don't like hearing you guys talk like that. I'm not sitting here like, well, mine's better. Like I think the yours is really unique and would be actually ideal for making like role-playing game books because you're creating like that's some of the best stuff I've seen about the role-playing games I enjoy is this involved timeline that's really fleshed out. And a lot of the ones that I don't like as much don't really do that.
Yeah.
Or if they do, it's in companion books you have to buy or something. Sure. But like it's not central to the world.
Yeah.
And I know like one thing you're even doing with your intellectual property in general, which I think speaks to the world building piece of it, is like the thing you had me edit.
Yeah.
It's, if I can say a little bit, it's funny to me in an interesting way, not funny, haha, but like that. It's not really a novel.
No.
But it's part of a novel. So it's an artifact within your world.
Right.
Because you like the world building. So you're creating actual world artifacts within the story.
I kind of only did it because I kept referencing it in like the books as like in through passages. It's like, we should make this book for real, shouldn't I? Because then I've seen people who write a whole lot more than you do not do that. Oh. For example, the Wheel of Time series. Sure.
Within the books, like for 14 books, people are talking about, they're referring back to this famous book, which, books in that setting are not that common, but The Travels of Jane Farstrider.
And there's no Jane Farstrider.
There is no Jane Farstrider. There's no Travels of Jane Farstrider book. That would have been a master stroke to write.
Sure.
But I feel like it's like, well, I got to get the series done and then I can do that. And then he died. And then Brandon Sanderson took it over and he's like, I'm not doing that. I can do my own stuff.
Yeah.
So like not everyone would take the approach that I should probably write this book. They just keep referring back to it.
Sure. Yeah. I honestly don't know what compelled me to do it, but other than like maybe I should say it was an exercise, and it's a book that they reference. That's almost like, again, I don't want to call it a Bible, but it's like just
it's like that.
Yeah.
It's more. I think it's more like the I Ching or the Tao Te Ching.
Yeah, or the Sun Tzu's Art of War or Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. It's kind of in that vein. But it's just because my next character, he's called the Warrior. They got the Mother, the Son, and now we got the Warrior, and he just lives his life in a very particular way. And this is one of the books that he references a lot. So that's why I figured that if anything, it helps me write this next book because it gives a little more direction, to what I am writing and how he would act mostly, or how the teachings he would have followed would be at least put down in some place. So then I can be like, what would you do in this situation? Yes. Passage 4 of like,
Well, and what's interesting, and this is why I edited it particularly the way I did. There were a couple points where there was something was a direct contradiction. And so I call that out in the editing, but other points where there's kind of, you could read it as a contradiction, or it's an implied contradiction, or it's like very far apart in the narrative. Sure. And I'm like, I feel like all these kinds of books would have that.
Sure.
So I didn't,
this is the rabbit hole that we go down, and we can talk about it, but I could make another book that explains how this book got created.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm just
And I figured there was probably something there in your head. Yeah. Because I figured some of this was a little deliberate.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't even call it out.
Yeah.
It's like,
I just appreciate you taking a look at it.
Yeah, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, and if you want to have a last word, we can definitely, you kind of do it.
Well, I mean, the only thing I will say.
No, but yes.
The very Minnesotan response to things. No, I just really enjoyed this topic because truthfully, Oscar and Rio, I've never actually verbalized or analyzed how I've gone through writing this story. And for a while I was like, God, I'm doing something wrong. Like I must be doing something wrong because my Conquering Chronicles story, I haven't published a single thing from it, but I feel very fulfilled from writing it. So maybe that's
follow your fulfillment.
Yeah.
If you do anything else, follow your fulfillment.
And that, if you're out there and you're listening to this as a reader and you're, going through your own thing that you're writing, and if you feel like you're doing something wrong too, you're probably not. You're probably doing it because you're feeling fulfilled. Like Oscar says, follow that fulfillment, and then maybe bring some organization to it or discipline to a degree and try to get it out there. I don't know.
And maybe, use multiple approaches. If you're having trouble with world building, maybe try Kate's approach.
Yeah.
Well, because it's funny to me that you like you're like, I don't like world building. No. And you're like, that's all you're doing? Like what?
Because she knows she's got to get that settled, down straight.
It's like, this is my barrier before I can get to my story, but I love doing it.
It's true. It's true. And so,
it's fun, right?
Use multiple methods. I think that's the moral of this story.
Yeah. Sure. If you're having trouble plotting, if you're having trouble character, like there's so many different things. And we could go on about this because I just wanted to know how you guys did stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like my own process is comparatively slapdash and boring, but it's also effective. Like it maybe not timely, but it's effective. Like my books, I still get great feedback on my books. So like, okay, well, I'm proud of what I created.
Yeah.
Clarity,
it's fulfilling.
Yeah.
I am gonna make a sticker for the store that says "Get Filled."
Okay.
What for?
To be get fulfilled.
Oh,
get filled, yeah.
I'm for it.
Put it on mugs.
Give us a thumbs up if you like the idea of that sticker.
Well, one side you can always says get filled, and the full or filled is on the other side or whatever.
Is it half full or half empty? It's fulfilled. However full it is.
Yeah.
This much fulfillment.
Goodness.
But we appreciate y'all, and thanks for stopping by and learning a little bit about our process. I'm sure we're going to talk about it more. Join us on Discord and all our socials and all that stuff, and we'll talk to you about anything you want to know. So
check out the links down below.
Yep. And right there.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you. I've been Rio.
Oscar.
I am Kate.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.